The file system.
Operating system provides a file system interface to secondary storage. The concept of a file system is molded after the filing cabinets commonly found in offices, but with new twist. A file system chiefly contains two types of objects, files and directories, that is also known as folders. A file is the basic unit of secondary data storage on computers. Any data that the user wants to store will go in some file in the file system. The files are identified by their names, which are much easier for humans to remember than absolute addresses known as block numbers. As a disk may have a large number of files, directories are used to organize them. A directory is nothing but a container that may contain file as well as other directories known as its subdirectories. In fact, there is no theoretical limit to such nesting, putting one container object inside another. However, every file system starts with what it is called its root directory, and then the root directory may contain files as well as subdirectories, and it can go on like that. Figure 5.2 illustrates this concept. Here the green nodes represent directories indicated by D, while the blue ones represent directory files indicated by F. The file system follows certain basic rules. Each file system has a single root directory, that is the starting point of the file system. Each directory in the file system contains a number of objects, files and directories, each of which must have name unique within the directory. Thus, there can never be two objects with the same name in the same directory. However, two different directories can have two different objects with the same name. As long as you know the directory containing the object you want to use, knowing its name may be enough, as it is guaranteed to be unique within its directory. Otherwise, you will have to specify the absolute path leading to the object. That is, you start with the root directory, then the subdirectory, and so on, until you reach to the directory that contains the object in the question, and finally the object itself. Each of these components is separated by a special character that is not permitted in the file or directory name. This uniquely identifies an object in the entire file system. A blank disk initially contains no file system. The initial blank system structure is created by an operation known as formatting the disk. Formatting a disk that already contains a file system destroys the existing file system and replaces it with a new blank one. Certain types of disks, such as the hard disk, can contain multiple partitions. Each partition may be formatted to contain a separate and independent file system. Formatting one partition does not affect the other. The operating system provides utilities for viewing, modifying, formatting the disk and their partitions. File system of Linux operating system. Linux generally uses some version of the extended file system, extension 2, extension 3, extension 4, though several others are also available and in use. There are quite powerful and feature-rich file systems. The extended file system is case sensitive, that is, capital and small letters are treated as two different characters. So you may have two files with the name F1 and F1 in the same directory. It uses the slash character as the path separator. The concept of using the extension part of the file system to signify its type is not mandatory and is weakly used. USB flash disks and memory cards used with mobile phones usually come formatted with the FAT file system, but the former can be reformatted as NTFS to obtain the benefits of performance and some security. CDs generally use the ISO 9660 file system, while DVDs use the UDF file system. These file systems have different characteristics. GUI and component of operating system. Everything that comes with the operating system is theoretically changeable except the kernel. The device drivers, the shells, the libraries and the utility program can also be changed without changing the operating system. In fact, some free and open source operating systems like Linux provide a number of choices for each of these. And though some proprietary operating systems do not offer a choice in shells or utilities, such choices are available from third-party vendors as well as the open source community. Hence, identifying an operating system based on these components would be fallacy. These considerations have given rise to a definition that the kernel and only the kernel is the operating system. All other things are changeable and hence are just auxiliary accessories. Users often mistakenly associate a particular user experience with a particular operating system, but they forget that the user experience is provided by the shell and the shell is changeable. To emphasize this fact, just look at 4 screenshots in figure 5.3 and try to identify the operating system in each case. We will not be able to differentiate between these screens to large extent. Here the upper 2 screenshots were taken on Windows systems while the lower 2 were taken on Linux systems. In our next video, we will see different categories of computing devices and operating system for them.